So, hi everybody, welcome to this quick video. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who participated in our little Facebook group survey on what goes into your essential WordPress and web design tech stack. So we had a lot of people participate, and of course at the end of the day, the top winner was Fluent Forms, followed by Elementor. Of course, third was ShortPixel, but there were a number of other very important entries also. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time today to kind of like go through some of the plugins and technologies that were featured on this survey, and maybe some that weren't also, so that you may wish to kind of consider and kind of know. So of course, top of the list was Fluent Forms. I think most of you by now have a copy of Fluent Forms Pro. So we are using it in our web design business because it's pretty much a technically sound form builder. It works out of the box. It has a great modern and user interface. It integrates a lot of things, and basically we have a strong developer team that's really attentive to user needs. We haven't completely gotten rid of Gravity Forms just because there are still some websites where the integrations are set up, and it's a little bit of a hassle to change out completely. And also there are technical requirements that Gravity Form has at the moment that integrate with certain brands of our ESPs. So we haven't completely changed out the thing, but if you gave me a choice today to start from fresh, I would really just go with Fluent Forms. What we have done is we have switched almost completely to Elementor in our web design business because it's the easiest to use. It has the widest and largest ecosystem, and at this present moment, there are a huge and great number of plugin developers that are building supplementary plugins for Elementor's ecosystem, right? So we have ultimate add-ons for Elementor, which we use quite a bit. Exciting new feature that just announced is cross-domain cut and paste, which cross-domain copy and paste, right? Which is quite interesting. So in that sense, you could kind of like build a staging site with most of your favorite layouts, and just use that as a hub to copy and paste into your client's website or the websites that you're building, and that would be quite a good time saver. Another good Elementor add-on would be Essential Add-ons by Elementor, which of course has a strong developer team also. We use Essential Add-ons a lot because we pair it with Fluent Forms for the styling purposes. So on our site, that's how we are using Essential Add-ons, right? Not to forget, was another page builder or Breezy. I think some of you would have Breezy or Breezy Pro, or if you purchase their AppSumo deal, the Breezy Cloud builder. They are pretty interesting builder, and I think the UI and user interface is really fresh and exciting. I think what kind of like works against them is they still have not maybe fully developed all the features, and from time to time we hear stories of bugs and everything, but it's a WordPress page builder with a pretty good bright future, and I really like the way they are going with the Breezy Cloud. So I think that's a key differentiator that they can kind of leverage on in times to come. But I won't kind of like talk about it right now. I will just jump on to the next plugin, which is of course ShortPixel. At this point in time, because ShortPixel has been around for so long and pretty much is the default image optimization plugin for many of you. So there's nothing much to talk about here in the sense because most of you know about it. Of course, there are many up and coming image compression plugins, like for example WP Compress, and of course you will see coming on AppSumo many of the deals like Gumlet, for example, or Cloud Image. But of course, ShortPixel is also responsible for another plugin that we use quite a lot in our tech stack, which is Enable Media Replace. Useful if you ever useful because I think most of the time when we need to kind of like swap out images, right? This is the fastest way I found, right? Which is just to do a one-for-one switch. So I believe the developers were not ShortPixel originally, but they look like they sold this plugin over to ShortPixel. I'm not sure what's the thing, but of course now it's credited to the ShortPixel team, right? But this is one of the plugins that we use quite extensively. Next up is Cloudflare for DNS. So at this moment, we use Cloudflare DNS for basically most of our sites. The user interface is pretty solid, it's clean, it works out of the box and everything. And you can just make use of the free plan for DNS management. Once you get a hang of how to enter your CNAME records, your A records, and everything, it's pretty easy to use Cloudflare to actually manage your server, manage your DNS settings for switching between servers, for migrations and stuff. So this is our choice, and it's free, right? You can just use the free plan you can just sign up for the free plan to manage your domain settings. It beats having to log in and out of multiple domain registrars if you're managing domains for different clients, right? So Cloudflare is our choice for DNS management. So at the same time, if you are using Cloudflare, I would suggest to pair it with a 2FA authentication like Authy, for example. So that's the best way to ensure the security of your account. Right, themes, right? The themes that I think that was top of the list was, of course, Astra theme. I think everybody was there was a good number of you that are using Astra theme right now, and that's what we are using in our web agency also. So like a few years ago, I think Astra had a Black Friday, so I think they still have their agency lifetime deal. So we purchased that. We've been using it ever since. It's a pretty solid theme. Although, to be frank, I think in this day and age of page builders, right, the theme kind of doesn't play such a big part. Maybe that's heresy on my part, but I feel at this point in time, because of the way page builders are going, you can go with a very light theme, like a Hello theme from Elementor. But of course, we prefer to just kind of use Astra in our web design business right now. Another theme that's kind of up and coming up, which I have no idea, I have never tried before, is Cadence WP. I think Adam from WP Crafter has mentioned this quite a few times on his videos and everything. I won't pretend that I know the Cadence WP team, but I hear that it's a pretty good team from some of the people that have tried it before. But I shan't talk too much about it because I just don't have the knowledge about it. Right, SEO plugins. There's no Yoast here. Top of the list was, of course, SEO Press, which everybody is using. It helps that SEO Press ran a lifetime deal a few years ago, and that's why many of us are using SEO Press right now. I think when it comes to SEO, it's important to have a plugin that works and doesn't give you trouble and has most of the core features and maybe some of the more advanced features too. At the end of the day, an SEO plugin is not the key to good SEO rankings, but having an SEO plugin that doesn't work properly is going to hurt your SEO rankings. So in that sense, SEO Press, get it, install it, and get it out of the way, and then just watch your, and then work on your SEO, right? Work on your technical SEO, work on your off-page SEO, work on your on-page SEO. So another one that's pretty popular right now fighting between SEO Press and is Rank Math. It's a free plugin for now. We have no idea what's the pro price going to be like or what the pro features are going to be like. I think there's word that they are going to release something eventually. No idea when that will be. But as of now, I see that many have actually switched to the free version of Rank Math and find that to be sufficient for their usage. So if you have tried it, I've tried it a few times. Between SEO Press and Rank Math, I think the difference is not too big for me. So I think at the end of the day, whichever you like to use, whichever you feel comfortable using, just go ahead and pick one and maybe stick to one, right? Okay, let's talk about advanced custom views. So this is really a plugin that most serious developers should have. I think we've had this discussion in our group quite a few times before, like people asking what does advanced custom views do. Basically, for the non-technical explanation is that it allows you to add custom views to your posts, to your custom post types, to even your pages, right? So that basically you can use to display more dynamic content. So I think that's kind of like the layman term to describe it, right? This is not maybe the best way to describe it, but we use it to build more advanced layouts and formats, especially with Elementor. So this is pretty much one of our mainstay plugins in our web design business. The thing about ACF Advanced Custom View Pro, right, was that it has been kept at a very good price and been on lifetime sale for the very longest time. I bought it for maybe, I don't know, less than 100 Australian dollars, I think, which was really a good deal. I think I got a discount too. So right now they've gone to yearly pricing, which I say good for them, because the plugin is really quite useful. So for those that did not get the lifetime deal, I guess, well, nothing to be said, but it's still a pretty good plugin. So do support them if you can. We usually pair like advanced custom fields sometimes with custom post type UI to actually build up the CPTs. But these days we don't do it so much because basically some of these functions can actually be built using tags and using Elementor. So, but if you are building custom post types and advanced custom fields, do consider taking a look at custom post type UI. It's free in the WordPress repo. Okay, when it comes to domains, we primarily register our domains with Namecheap. I mean, there are a lot of other domain registers out there. You can even buy it from Google Domains or Cloudflare. I think most of us just prefer Namecheap because it's easy to use and they are pretty much pretty decent domain registrar and not very douchey, right? So as far as domain registrars go, they are pretty okay, and that's what most of us are using. Okay, backup, right? So backup. So right now we're using WP Vivid for backup and migration in our web design business. I think most of you are using that too. Those who kind of enjoyed some of the recent the recent discounts on their lifetime deal, I think have tried it out and then found it to be a really good plugin. When it first was introduced, I think people were kind of like wondering if how it developed, but I think the development path has been pretty impressive. We like it. We use it a lot in our web design business. Basically, it's replaced all of our backup plugins. Only for some additional sites will we have maybe 2 layers of backup, like for example, a WP Vivid and also a Block Vault for additional layer for backups, just for critical sites. But most of the times, WP Vivid is good enough for most of our clients' light sites. Sometimes we forget to activate the Pro, but most of the time, the Pro version is actually better because you can do more features with that. You can also do more scheduling functions with that also. So that's WP Vivid. Yeah, we used to use all-in-one WP migration quite a fair bit also for migration. But since WP Vivid, we've kind of like pretty much haven't really used the all-in-one WP migration so much because WP Vivid can actually do quite a fair bit of what all-in-one WP migration can do. And also Vivid is also introducing like incremental backups also. So that's actually quite useful. So in that sense, this is, if you have this really, you probably wouldn't need to use all-in-one WP migration right now. I think the general trend is people are moving towards Vivid as the preferred backup and migration plugin. Reset. So the WP Reset is used by a lot of a lot of the designers and developers in our community to basically use it as a reset button on their web development sites. Basically, when you install a plugin or when you do something major to the site, you kind of like want that insurance policy to reverse things out, right? WP Reset helps you to do so. So of course they have ongoing deal with I think more and everything. So if you are watching this video right now in May, feel free to go check out their deal on AppSumo, right? Right. So caching plugins, right? So WP Rocket was top of the list for many of you. I think most of you are not using the Pro version, if I'm not wrong, just the non-Pro version. For us, I'm not using WP Rocket so much. I'm just using a very simple like Breeze plugin. I think it's by Cloudways. So it's good enough most of the time for me. We also use it sometimes with Swift Pro, but sometimes Swift Pro is a little bit too powerful in terms of the things they do. So it doesn't always play nicely with some of our Elementor sites but that's maybe because we haven't really taken the time to really understand how to fully use it so far, and I don't have the time to kind of like try and learn so much. So for us right now, Breeze is working fairly well. We try to basically not have to do too much, just use a CDN, get a good server, try to keep things light. Perhaps use things to like a Perf Matters or Asset Pro cleanup to kind of like the load on certain pages. But generally, that's kind of the plugin that we're using for caching right now. Sometimes with WP Rocket. So it really depends on the site that we're using for. Okay, so when it comes to WordPress security, most of you are using, I think, Malcare. Quite a number of you have used it because you bought it previously when it was on sale on AppSumo. So it's a pretty good plugin. Totally recommend it. The guys have been very helpful on a few number of occasions. If you don't have Malcare in your business, right, you can consider just installing as a base, right, WordFence. I know maybe some of WordFence gets kind of like a bad name, maybe just because it's like the vanilla option, right? But it's still a fairly decent security plugin, and it beats not having a security plugin at all. So something for you to consider, right? Two other contenders you can take a look at is WP Security Ninja, made by the same team as WP Reset Pro. Also, it's pretty okay, but I don't use it that much, right? Some of you are using quite a fair bit also is Virus Die. Again, I don't really have too much knowledge of this, but I hear from some of y'all that they have good experiences, and that the support team is pretty friendly. So I'll leave it to you guys to check it out if you want to. When it comes to hosting right now, right, we are basically using Server Avatar in our business, right? So Adash and the team have been pretty good in terms of like improving the product day in and day out. I know a large bunch are also using Grid Paint, right? So I mean, there's quite a lot of developers in the group and everything. So Grid Paint ran also a lifetime deal recently, and I think everybody who purchased it have been raving about it. So nothing too much to be said here. I mean, if you're looking for other things like, for example, managed WordPress hosting, feel free to check out the guys from WP Infi, and maybe take a look at Kinster also, right? Okay, some of the quality of life plugins that we use in our business, we use duplicate posts, which seems pretty silly that we actually have to use a plugin to actually have post duplication in the WP setup. But but the WP doesn't have a way for us to clone a post by itself, so we have to install these plugins, and this is the most popular one. Code snippets. Yeah, sometimes you need to add code snippets to your site. This is what we use to as a plugin to add it, just because it's easier than trying to remember where exactly in which part of the which part of the WordPress file do we put a code in, right? We just kind of install everything in code snippets, and so when we are kind of like handing projects over from developer to developer in our business, right? Everybody just kind of knows to look for code snippets instead of anywhere else. Okay. Right, a few other quality of life plugins that we are taking care of. I think many of you have bought the recent Happy Files plugin, which is basically like a folder system for your media library, right? For myself, just because I'm using the Widget Plugins, Widget Folders Pro in my web design business right now, and we love it. Basically, it keeps my OCD tendencies in check, because I can kind of organize everything, and it's useful because as the site grows and everything, you just want everything to be placed in the right places. I'm not just referring to media library, I'm talking about pages and posts and everything. So especially when we're running a lot of different campaigns, for example, sometimes we like to keep the right pages in this folder so that our creatives, our web designers, our web developers, as well as our our PPC specialist can pick the right page and don't have to keep coming and asking us for asking which is the correct page and everything. So we highly recommend Widget Folders Pro. Even if you don't want to get the Pro version, do try out the Widget Folders plugin in the repo. It's really quite useful. This is one of my favorite plugins. So I think with that, that's basically all I wanted to say today. Thanks to everyone who kind of participated in our WordPress survey. I hope to have more polls for you guys to participate in. So for now, I'm just going to sign out and hope you guys have a good week ahead.